Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's PC Gaming News Recap. Diablo Immortal may be designed for phones, but it is coming to PC as well, although unless you like phone game design, I wouldn't get too excited here. There's also a new Warcraft mobile game in the works that Blizzard plans on revealing soon. We've got some rumors that a new Star Wars MMO might be in development at ZeniMax. Lord of the Rings Online recently went free to play and has seen a big boost as a result, and then a few more stories including some free classic Elder Scrolls games, Bless Unleashed joining the blockchain, and much more. Before we dive into all of today's news though, let's go ahead and get a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is sponsored by Ridge Wallet. I've been using mine now for the past 6 months or so, and I've really appreciated it. It's replaced the bulkier leather wallet that I previously had, which turns out was full of stuff that I never really used. And that's kind of their whole shtick, I guess, with Ridge Wallet. The idea is that you just carry around your essentials and that's it. So like I've got my ID, my bank and credit card, a couple of member cards, and that's everything. It has in fact delivered on their stated goal of simplifying what I personally carry around. If you do happen to have a bunch of cards you need on a regular basis though, they do say that Ridge Wallets can hold up to 12 cards at once while still also having room for cash. They are offered in over 30 different colors as well as styles and are made out of durable materials and have a risk-free 45-day trial along with a lifetime warranty. So if you're interested in checking out Ridge Wallet for yourself, head on over to ridge.com/force and using the code FORCE at checkout will get you 15% off your order. Okay, so kicking things off, let's talk Diablo Immortal. It got a release date this week. It'll be launching on June the 2nd. But what's so interesting to me about this story is despite the fact that it was originally designed exclusively for mobile, they also revealed it'll be now coming to PC as well. This of course is a bit of a surprise given their initial stance on the matter, stating all those BlizzCons ago that they had no plans for a PC version. Well, clearly things have changed. Diablo Immortal will now be playable on mobile and PC with both cross-play and cross-progression. Now, if you just read the feature list and watched some of this teaser footage, this would seem somewhat promising for fans of Diablo 3. Maybe you played a lot of that game and you're getting tired of it and you don't feel like waiting much for Diablo 4. This looks like a nice in-between. I mean, Immortal basically takes the baseline of Diablo 3 and does a total overhaul to the game's world while adding various features. For one, Immortal is an MMO ARPG, meaning you'll be running into other players in the open world on a regular basis. The game will also have its own version of raids, these larger scale boss fights for groups of 8 players. It is said to be the biggest Diablo game to date with 6 character classes, massive amounts of game space, a main story quest that explores 8 different unique zones. However, since Immortal was designed first and foremost for mobile and it is free to play, it will also have plenty of microtransactions. Based on early testing and a blog post discussing monetization, we know that the game intends to have 3 currencies: gold, which you'll find while you're playing the game; platinum, which can be purchased with real money or by selling items on the market that other players buy with real money; and eternal orbs that can only be bought with real money. So those are the currencies. What will you be able to do with them? Well, you can buy various items and boost, but specifically, what are the items that you can spend real money on? Well, as of now, the list includes crests, which are these enhancements to Elder Rifts that will guarantee rune and legendary gem drops while also giving rift points to all of your party members. Essentially, these are purchasable group-wide buffs, and people are going to want someone with a crest in their group, most certainly. You can also buy specialized reforged stones that let you pick specific stats on legendary items rather than just getting assigned random ones. You can purchase charms that will add skill bonuses, runes that are used for crafting legendary gems and items, and there will also be a battle pass that at the very least we know will be granting experience bonuses on its paid track. This is a paid experience boost. Now, while it's important to keep in mind that all this information comes from an early test version of the game, and by no means can we assume that this is exactly what the final build will include or what it'll look like, it does give us us an idea of the direction that they're aiming in. And again, all of this information comes from an official blog post from Blizzard that detailed their plans for monetization. And in a lot of ways, this kind of looks like standard fare. It's like the basic monetization template for so many free-to-play MMOs and mobile games nowadays, which it is what it is. You know, I don't love it, but that's just where the market is with these kinds of games these days. But it is sad to see from a Diablo title. It is a mobile game after all, and originally they never even planned to come to PC. So why did they make this shift? Well, they laid that out in a recent blog post. They said that the decision to develop Diablo Immortal for PC was one that the team went back and forth on for a large part of the development process. On one hand, they felt like they wouldn't be doing the title justice by releasing a game originally designed for mobile on PC. That's a fair assessment. But on the other hand, they wanted to make sure that the game reached as many players as possible and as many pockets as possible, especially since most of their dedicated fans are PC players. I mean, that is the history for Blizzard. So then they say that in the end, the deciding factor was that they knew many of us would attempt to play this game through an emulator on the PC, which led them towards building a better experience. I don't know if I exactly buy that premise that a ton of PC gamers and Diablo fans would have tried to emulate this. Certainly there would be people, but I don't think a large portion of them, but regardless. So what are they doing? Like, what have they done for this PC version? Well, they've added mouse and keyboard support, of course. There's going to be basic attack and movement with the mouse buttons, also known as click to move. On top of that, they're enabling WASD movement to attack while moving, and they will also be adding controller support. Beyond those things, they have scaled down the user interface, they have made some changes to the menu, and they've added chat functionality with full Battle.net integration, and that is everything. Those are all of the changes that they've done to this PC version of the game. So looking at this, I gotta say, I mean, it seems pretty low effort and it doesn't really feel like a full PC port. It just feels like I'm playing a mobile game on a PC rather than having a mobile game brought to PC and then unlocking all of its full potential on that platform. And I'll say, as a phone game, I think Diablo Immortal looks great. In fact, I played it briefly a couple of years back, you know, when in-person BlizzCon was still a thing, and I didn't think it was bad at all. I had a decent time, and I will say I'm fairly confident that fans of mobile gaming are going to enjoy this. I mean, this is definitely going to be a top-tier experience on that platform. But as a PC game, I'm super unimpressed with the footage that they've released. The UI just is slightly downscaled. I mean, they said as much that that's what they did. They just downscaled the UI, but they didn't change it at all to be like fitting to the PC platform. Like, why are these still circular buttons in the corner? That's just not how it's done on PC, and it doesn't look good. It looks cheap, honestly. And the camera looks way too close. The field of view is far more narrow than compared to standard PC action RPGs. Putting this side by side with Diablo 3 makes that pretty evident. I mean, we're just like right up on our character. Fine for a tiny screen, not so great for a large PC monitor. And the dialogue boxes taking up like a third of the screen. It really does just look like a quickly thrown together port for those reasons alone. Why didn't they do more than just downscale the HUD is beyond me, honestly. It just feels so low effort. I don't know, man. Couple that with what looks to be likely some hefty monetization. I'm really, really uncertain. I'm keeping my expectations very low with this. And I'll cut the Diablo Immortal talk here because I can make this a 30-minute video just on this topic alone. But let me just say this. I will give Diablo Immortal a fair shot. I promise. I'm going to try it out, but I do not have high hopes that this will click with me or many PC gamers. I don't think this is it, Chief. Before we move on, though, we've got one more bit of news on the topic of Blizzard and mobile games. The company does plan to reveal its newest project soon, which will be a Warcraft mobile game. This announcement is set to take place on May the 3rd, so just a few days from now. They say that the Warcraft universe continues to capture imaginations across the globe with enlightening experiences and immersive gameplay that are the foundation for World of Warcraft and Hearthstone. We are happy to present a new mobile game for the heroes of Azeroth looking to play on the go, and we can't wait to get it into your hands. So we've known for some time that Blizzard had a mobile Warcraft game in the works, although we still don't know exactly what it's going to be. Short of them just making the World of Warcraft playable on mobile, which seems very unlikely, it is probably just going to be a new game altogether. Maybe some Warcraft-centric team battler game, or maybe something like Teamfight Tactics or Dota Underlords, which, as a side note, I actually played quite a bit of that on the PC and really enjoyed it. We'll see what happens either way, way though, very, very soon. Once again, this will be happening on May 3rd at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And once we get the reveal, I'm sure I will touch on it in next week's episode. Let's take a step away from the sad, grounded reality of Blizzard moving into mobile for a moment and talk a bit of some leaks and rumors. This stuff's always exciting for me. According to a handful of anonymous sources, ZeniMax Online Studios, the company who makes Elder Scrolls Online, is currently working on a new Star Wars MMO. The game is said to be Mandalorian branded, meaning it will touch on aspects of the show, whether that means specific characters or just the general look, atmosphere, time, and setting. And that's basically all we know. Now, we do know that ZeniMax is working on at least a few different new games. Over the last couple of years, they've had job postings hiring people in art, design, engineering, and production to work on unannounced projects. So the fact that ZeniMax are developing new games is no rumor. That is happening. Now, whether or not this Star Wars Mandalorian branded MMO is one of them, we have no idea. As of now, it is just a rumor, but I gotta say, I don't hate the concept. Like, I would very much be interested in a modern day next-gen Star Wars MMO. I enjoyed SWTOR for what it was at the time. I feel like it's a game that's kind of hard to go back to. Would love a really great-looking new MMO in the Star Wars universe. And hey, I think the Mandalorian like slice of the Star Wars pie, it's a pretty cool one, so I think they could do something with that. But again, this could be total utter nonsense because it is just a rumor as of now. Okay, so back to reality. Lord of the Rings Online has gone free to play. This comes as part of Update 33 of which they said, with this update, all quest areas, instances, and expansions released between the original launch of Lord of the Rings Online back in 2007 and up to and including the release of Helm's Deep will be available for free to everyone. So this includes questing, exploring, and crafting your way all the way up to level 95 and having no restrictions within that range. So in other words, a majority of the game is available to everyone completely free of charge. You will still have to pay if you want to see some of the newest content, specifically the 3 most recent expansions. But even still, there is a whole lot of game that they've lifted the paywall on, especially for any new players coming to it for the first time. So as a result of this update, which has already gone live, the game saw a massive boost in its player count, reaching numbers that they haven't seen in nearly 10 years. In fact, they recently surpassed their all-time concurrent peak player count. It's at the point as well that they have started seeing server login queues for the first time in a very long time. All of which, may I say, is really cool to see for such an old MMO. So if you've ever been interested in Lord of the Rings Online but have never tried it, seems like now is as good a time as any to jump in. As a quick reminder, last week we touched on the upcoming phasing out of the Bethesda launcher. Well, the time has now come. You are now able to begin transferring your Bethesda library over to Steam. It's a fairly simple process that just involves linking your accounts and then confirming the transfer. Doing so will automatically move all games, expansions, DLCs, anything you've purchased, as well as any virtual wallet currencies you have. Provided instructions that take you through the process step by step. I've done it myself and it was super easy. I just had to log into my Bethesda account and then I linked it to my Steam account. I clicked transfer and that was it. I think the whole thing took like under 2 minutes. And again, you will want to do this because come May 11th, the Bethesda launcher will be no more. So Steam is where you're going to have to go to access any games that you've purchased in the past through the Bethesda launcher. More information is available on their website and Twitter as well if you are curious for more details. In addition to this, as part of their move to shut down the launcher, Bethesda has also begun adding some of their older classic games to Steam. These include the Elder Scrolls Arena, the Elder Scrolls II Daggerfall, as well as Adventures Redguard, the Elder Scrolls Legend Battlespire, and Wolfenstein Enemy Territory. These games range from free, being Arena, Daggerfall, and Wolfenstein, to just a few dollars for Redguard and Battlespire. Now, I should say here as well, in researching this, I learned that there are better versions of many of these games, numerous fan-patched versions of, say, Daggerfall, for example, including things like Daggerfall Setup and Daggerfall Unity exist. And with it, there are fixes to bugs, crashes, and numerous other issues that the vanilla version, the original versions of the game had, and still have to this day, apparently, along with things like improvements to controls, performance, visuals, view distance, and much more. It's really cool to see these fan-issued improvements to older games. I feel like personally, I will usually just go for whatever the official source is and just play like the base version with warts and all. I just don't ever really care to jump into a lot of that fan stuff, but it's really cool to see and to hear about. And for people who are interested in like an enhanced version of those original games, those things do exist. But if you just want each of these games vanilla, a bunch of them are free right now on Steam. So jump in, go check them out. This past week, we got word that Valheim has now surpassed over 10 million copies sold, which is pretty exciting news for a small indie dev team to be getting for their very first game. I mean, good on them, really. And as I've said many times before, this was easily one of my favorite games of last year. Like, I would put it in a Game of the Year category, frankly. Even though it's still in early access, I had a fantastic time. I loved the world, I loved the mechanics, everything about it. And I got nearly 100 hours of playtime, which is hard to complain about for just $20. However, like any time Valheim pops up in the news, the inevitable replies of where are the updates start pouring in. The main complaint seems to be that, yeah, there hasn't been a lot of new content added to the game since it released over a year ago. And I think that's fair. I think it's a fair complaint. There's been a bunch of small patches, bug fixes, tuning, but the biggest update really just added some new things to the housing system, and that's about all of note. There was also the addition of the cave system, but even that feels fairly minor. And at this point, people are hankering for something substantial. Now, new stuff is coming. In fact, very, very recently, they published a blog post highlighting some new info about their next major biome, the Mistlands. With this, we got screenshots of various structures native to the new locations, along with a tease that there will be new creature types and a new inhabitants in the zone, as well as, of course, a brand new big boss to fight. Now, there's still no word on when exactly we can expect this update. As of yet, they haven't produced a roadmap to set those expectations, so we will continue to wait. I'm not really too fussed. I played Valheim and I had an excellent time with it. Even if I never touched it again, I would be like, that will go down as one of my favorite games in recent years. I really, really enjoyed it. But of course, at the same time, for the people who do want to still keep plugging away and continuing the adventure, I hope the updates keep coming. And I hope that it's not in early access for 5 years, because their first year was pretty light on updates. But hey, they've had a lot of success, and hopefully they're funneling a good chunk of those resources into continuing to improve the game, but more so to finish the game and to leave early access. But we'll see what the future holds. Come back a year from now and let's see where we're at with Valheim, right? And for our last story this week, we've got an update on Bless Unleashed in a move that I would deem quite characteristic of their branding. The struggling MMO is in the process of turning into a blockchain play-to-earn game. You really can't make this stuff up. In a recent press release, they have confirmed that Bless Unleashed will be integrating with the WeMix platform, and in doing so, making changes and implementing new features to become a full-on play-to-earn title. Of course, what we're talking about here is NFTs and the idea that players can essentially earn things of value that they can then sell to other players. So, you play a bunch and you boost up your character, you get a bunch of gear, and then you can sell it. This market has existed in many, many RPGs and online games in the past, but they're trying to integrate it directly and tie it into the blockchain. That's as part of the latest trend, which, you're well aware of by now, no doubt. Now, at the moment, we don't know exactly what these changes will be that they're making to Bless Unleashed, although the game's developer has said various contents and the sense of freedom that can be experienced in Bless Unleashed create a synergy with the blockchain ecosystem. That is a real sentence. Okay, so yes, it's an MMO, there is loot, and there's a natural fit to NFTs, to which I say, have fun, whatever. Anyone who's still invested in Bless Unleashed, I'm sure they are happy to hear this news. If you are still playing Bless Unleashed every day, I guess you probably don't have many complaints about them incorporating it into the blockchain, and then you may be making some money off of the time that you spent. Good on you, I suppose. Before we wrap up today, let's talk about some of the new releases and things that are currently playable. The beta for Overwatch 2 has officially begun. It's running from now until May 17th. While it doesn't include all of the features like competitive mode, it does still aim to give a decent preview of what to expect from the full game, which is, as far as I can tell, a whole lot like the original. Now, I'm not saying they are making some big changes. I know changes are being made, but having not played the game for multiple years, just looking at it, I'm like, hey, that looks just like Overwatch. If you're interested in checking out Overwatch 2, you can get access by linking your Battle.net and Twitch accounts, and then watching some of the Overwatch 2 officially sponsored beta streams that have drops enabled. Dorfromantik is also out. This is that peaceful building strategy puzzle game where you can create and manage an ever-growing village landscape. We also have seen the early access release of Bloodhunt, the free-to-play Vampire the Masquerade Battle Royale. Appears to be doing quite well. It has a mostly positive user rating on Steam. SteamDB puts the daily peak concurrent player count at around 18,000, and it looks to be rising as well. Not too bad, I gotta say. I jumped in for a couple matches, and it feels a lot better than the preview build did. Seems like they've got performance ironed out, at least from the little that I've seen, so that's pretty cool. And then finally, the 4X real-time strategy game set in the Dune universe, Dune Spice Wars, has also come to early access, and at the moment has good user reviews as well. And with that, we will be wrapping up this week's episode of our PC Gaming News Recap. Thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you next week, and in between next week, more videos coming. Don't just wait till next week. Watch the other videos too, right? Thank you so much. I'll see you guys later. Take it easy.